1, 2. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Super Chuffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. I'm talking right into the microphone. It's late. I'm on my holly bobs, and everyone's asleep. We're going to react to some Angry Alan. This is a little tester because I've got terrible internet down here. It's not good internet, so I'm going to be able to record this and then upload it to YouTube, hopefully. So we're going to go for about hopefully 40 minutes. He's playing now, but he's not there yet because his stream starts with this funny screen at the end of it. You can hear his microphone. He's there, but he's not got his camera ready yet. So when he does, Alan will turn up, and he's going to talk about Russell Brand tonight. I don't know if this video you're watching now will include the full, Alan's going to talk for an hour. I can't speed him up. It's late night here, and I don't know if I'm going to be uploading big long videos from here, so I'm probably going to try for about a 40-minute react session if Alan will turn up, and that will probably just include the start bit of his stream where he rambles and rants for a bit, and then as he gets onto the Russell Brand bit, I might just cut it and upload the Russell Brand bit as a separate bit. But of course Alan is completely invested now in supporting and defending Russell Brand because it's good for Alan. So Alan is the worst kind of shill. Self-shilling, self-protecting, will say anything, will say anything that's supposedly good for him. Might be a mistake tonight if he's going to use the mainstream media on his Rumble, because I think the people on Rumble don't trust the mainstream media. But we'll see. You ready yet, Alan? For your own show? Apologies if my sound is a bit... talking into the mic. Oh, he's there. Are you alright, Alan?
How are you?
I'm alright. How are you? You got a little eat all there today.
It's AD.
It's you.
Good evening. Welcome. I got a bit lost there, didn't I? Can you see me? I have to test. I'm new to Rumble Dumble. I've been painting this, drawing this afternoon.
Have you? It looks like...
That's all I do to keep my energies in place and to keep monsters away. I paint. I'm just checking you can see me and hear me. I guess you can.
The monsters.
Yay. Hello, everyone.
Show me the monster.
Yeah, so tonight's title is, of course, AD Alive and Dangerous. Well,
now, I'm looking over there where my camera always is. You're over there. If you've not seen my community post on this channel, check out my community post on this channel. This man is dangerous, me. And then he's took that and used it as his title. He's so pathetic.
To some people, when I'm alive, I'm dangerous because they don't want me anywhere near any platform whatsoever. I thought by getting kicked off YouTube, I could start a new life. Like when you come out of prison.
What? I thought when I got kicked off YouTube, I could start a new life by staying in exactly the same place and doing exactly the same thing. The only difference in this new life will be I'm broadcasting on a slightly different online broadcasting service, a much smaller, a much more politically defined broadcasting service, but that's the only difference really. You're not starting a new life, Alan. You've not moved away anywhere. You're not changing your name and turning up on the streets of Monte Carlo, suitcase in hand. Agent Pandy starting his new life now. I wonder what we should rename him. It's not Agent Pandy anymore. That's gone. That's gone, hasn't it, Alan? We'll have to think about that. We'll have to have answers in the comments. What's Agent Pandy's new Monkia, also known as? It's got to be something interesting to do with Rumble, hasn't it? Put your answers in the comments.
You can start a new life, but no. It's like the jailers have followed me.
Am I the jailer? Did you escape from... You mentioned jail as well, didn't you? Escape from jail. You're effectively in YouTube jail now. Well, the worst, not just jail, you've been excommunicated, haven't you? But, you're not in jail. Like you weren't in jail. You've been reprimanded for your bad behaviour, haven't you, Alan? The reprimand has been that you're no longer allowed to use your YouTube channels. Oh no, all that money, all those people looking at you. But excommunicate out in the wilderness with your little You managed to corral a little group of cult members, and now you're out in the wilderness with them. It's like being freed from jail, isn't it, in a way?
If you see any abusive comments about me, and I had to delete them, it's because they're from YouTube. They're not.
Oh, that bad YouTube.
You lovely Rumble people.
They're not you lovely Rumble people. All of the people that were watching you, Alan, were watching you on YouTube last week. What are you talking about?
They're British YouTuber.
British YouTubers, YouTube, not particularly not specifically Super Chuffer. Although I've not been going over there and leaving him difficult comments. I can't be arsed with it. But I understand there's been quite a few new Armchair Detective accounts. I'd love to show you them right now, but with my setup while I'm on the hollybobs, let's just keep it simple. So just trust me. If you have a little look around Rumble, which I suggest you don't do. I suggest you stay on YouTube, leave that horror show alone over there. But a few people have been popping up, creating channels under Alan's name, sort of under Alan's name. And a couple of them have uploaded videos that if Alan steals from them, they may copyright strike him on. Interesting. But I would suggest if anyone sees this and they're uploading Alan's past content to other places to piss him off, put some music under it if you can. Talk to one of our friends in our Discord, talk to Jamie, Slinky Socks, or Regardation Police, and they might be able to help you out. Get some background music or some watermarks on it, something that will mean that if he does steal it, it's clearly your version of the upload with all the stuff on it. And then maybe even put laughter tracks so he can't upload it to his own channel because it would make him look stupid. Or maybe just like the watermark right across the middle, Armchair Detective is a fake or something. And then the other thing is that he can then mess with that watermark and put blurring on it, and so the sound is quite important. So something in the sound, for me, it's like the background music or laughter tracks if you want to take the piss out of him, that clearly identifies it as your upload if you plan to copyright strike him. But laughter track, if you think he's going to just take it and upload it and use it, then he can't, can he? But we can still watch it and have a laugh.
People. So be aware of that in the future. I don't know if you've ever experienced trolling on Rumble. I don't know if you have. It's just similar to...
Who's he talking to? Remember, this is just the people that followed him over from YouTube that are like corralled into the cult. They're in such hard denial that they can't see what's in front of their eyes. There's no. It's not like there's no... Alan thinks there's lots of new Rumble people checking him out. It's really not like that.
The government. Like, I think I'm being trolled by paid trolls. I think they're paid.
He thinks he's being paid by paid trolls from the government, which is new, isn't it? Because when he was on YouTube, he never mentioned any paid trolls from the government. It turned out that it was Frankie Rusick and Martin Dean, and they're all being paid for by the Rusicks, and that was what it was when you were hiding on. Click to window now, and I can't move it. Fuck. Come on, little laptop. Come on, little laptop. Okay, that's fine. We'll just look at it this way. That's fine. Yeah, it wasn't all that, was it? Now all of a sudden it's all conspiracy. That kind of suits you on Rumble, though, doesn't it? It's almost as if, Alan, you're twisting lies to appeal to the Rumble audience. Now, the thing is about the Rumble audience is that they might hear what you've said, and let's say it goes really well, and like loads of people, oh, this man's being trolled by the government. And then they turn on me because, oh, Scotty Hottie must be a government shill. And then they come and they see that I'm fucking not. Far from it. And then you look really bad when they find out the reasons that we don't like you. They see the videos of you singing on Smule. That wasn't the government, was it, Alan? And if I was being paid by the government, wouldn't they give me lots more monies? The only one of us that's been paid for by the government, Alan, is you, as you collect your pension and top up credits to help with the rent.
Organised,
which is fine if you didn't evade tax for a good number of years.
Trying to destroy my reputation, smear campaign, smear campaign. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Alan, you are the smear.
I'm just telling my friends to watch me.
Just telling my friends to watch me on my phone, which is a good look, isn't it? If things are going well, just get it on your phone. Sending them. I guess it's because some of them don't get notifications anymore because they're not on YouTube, are they? So your system is to text them to say, put down that ham sandwich, get on the internet, it's time to give me monies.
I'm live on Rumble. What do you reckon, guys?
It looks bad, and they're all women. So, guys, it's a bit sexist.
And I've got nothing but praise for Rumble. I really have.
Must be good then.
Because they were told by my government to get rid of Russell Brand.
Is that why you're praising them, or is it because they're your new paymaster, insofar as without Rumble you can't get monies on the internet, can you, Alan? So you better hope Rumble's good, because you've so nailed your mask to it. It's so pathetically transparent. You know, where's the fight for justice? I did a video about Russell Brand on YouTube, Alan, YouTube, that, you know, I got some views on my main channel on Super Chuffer, didn't I? Alan suddenly, he's Russell Brand this, Russell Brand that. Super Chuffer got there first, and we've got slightly different opinions. I'm not saying that Russell Brand is a confirmed sex offender. I was joking about it sometimes, of course, because Alan is now aligning himself with him. But I'll just quickly say, you know, I'm not going to do a big... This is hopefully going to be a shorter video just about Alan before he gets into the Russell Brand stuff. But just quickly, I will say, innocent until proven guilty, yes. But from the interesting body language analysis that I did, and what small stuff I've seen in the news, haven't done loads on it, want to do a bit more when I get back, maybe, depending on how fast the news moves. But doesn't look all good for him, does it, Alan? So maybe he should just deal with the allegations rather than twisting them into this strange narrative about subversive media. It's all quite interesting. Of course, Alan doesn't really care about any of this. What Alan cares about is Russell Brand. Russell Brand is on Rumble, and Alan has to defend Rumble and Russell Brand because he is too, and he's just using it to try and grift some money, some notoriety, some popularity, to get noticed, which is kind of pathetic, isn't it? Because before he was forced out of YouTube and onto Rumble, he didn't care about this sort of stuff at all. Like, you wouldn't have seen a video about this on Alan's channel before this, would you? I mean, okay, fair enough, he's there and he's now interested. It's just marketing in a way, isn't it? It's just trying to convince people that this is good and I'm in this and this is interesting, and, you know, it's parasitic behaviour. Where is the crusade for justice, Alan? What happened to your crusade for justice for those poor and... You don't care anymore because you want your rent paid. Do carry on.
No, it doesn't matter. Forget the name Russell Brand or what he's done or what he hasn't done. It's the process. The terrible process of the creeping takeover of social media by big tech.
Big tech are social media. Don't know if you understand it properly, Alan. No. How do you think people are watching you? Who do you think provides their broadband? What kind of phone have you got? Alan's pushing people to go on his Patreon, his Facebook group. Alan wants people on his Facebook group. Alan's a corporate shill. He just doesn't understand what's going on.
This is how they did it, right? It's quite subtle, but not subtle. They got Google to buy YouTube. YouTube was a big threat because when I was a kid, many moons ago, everyone got their news on this side of the pond from a place called the BBC.
The British Broadcasting Corporation.
All of Europe, BBC of Germany, BBC France. BBC was the trusted oracle of...
Why is that, Alan?
What we can trust to be true. And I don't know if you believe this or not, but as far as I know, in the Americas, it was CNN.
Why, though, Alan? Do you not understand? Do you not understand, Alan? we're going to start onto this politics with Alan, aren't we? I told you I want to cover Alan rather than the politics. But the truth of the matter is that the BBC is theoretically, and I'm going to say theoretically, actually my mic, I'm peaking a bit, aren't I? Is what it is. Theoretically, the BBC are paid for by the people, so they're accountable to the people. They should therefore be independent. There's no advertising on the BBC, so it's not about which company pays you the most monies or any of that. There's no one oligarchical owner, pushing their agenda. It should be fair and unbiased, and if it's not, there are different kinds of watchdogs and overbodies to keep an eye on that, because that's the principle of it. Now, in modern times, it's not completely like that, of course. There are agendas going on, and there are different people put in jobs for different reasons sometimes, but the overall principles still stand, so we can still fight for those. And if the BBC is not quite doing its job in all aspects, if it's not quite coming up to standard, we can push for that, but you can't push for it with private companies. Other privately owned news media all over the world, wherever they are, can just say what the flip they think is most important, or pushes agendas and stuff like that. So the difference, Alan, between something like the BBC and, of course, YouTube, not publicly owned, is it? But or Rumble, like where you are, Alan, which is completely politically biased and paid for. There's a difference in these platforms, isn't there? So the BBC would be, for me, the paradigm of... I have a lot of respect for the BBC, who've done a lot of good work in broadcasting over the years, and it would be the paradigm, the principle. Again, it's like the NHS in our country or anything. The principle's good, but you've got to fund it, and you've got to make sure it does its job properly, and maybe a regulator here or there, and then it can really fly. Public service broadcasting, paid for by the people, to do the best job for the people, whatever that's right for the people, transparently so, and without bias towards advertisers. Very important, in a way, very important. Even if you think it's corrupted, the principle still stands. But Alan hasn't discussed any of that. He's just said, when I was little, the BBC was the best one. Because he doesn't understand anything.
Because they were supposed to be neutral. I don't know if they are or not, I don't know. But it was CNN and BBC that were the trusted people for the masses, for the sheep.
The sheep.
But because they're so slow on big media, right? And they're so old, even older than me, they didn't notice that people were switching off a thing called television.
They didn't notice. Alan doesn't understand the media world. Of course they fucking noticed. The problem is they were heavily invested in the production of and providing of television. So when Netflix started out as literally, they would send you CDs on the internet. You'd order things on the internet, they'd send you CDs to your house, you'd watch them on the tellies, DVDs. Yeah, so like when these things started happening, like big media, the BBC is different from these other media companies, because they're not like the other media companies are private companies. So when Sky Media want to do something, they just do what the fuck they want. When the BBC do it, it is slightly different. Like there are different processes. But yeah, we're going to put them all together now and just say big media. With successful media, how big do you have to be big media? Can you be the National Enquirer? Because Donald Trump bought that. I mean, how big do you need to be? Big media, anyway. Slow to react, didn't understand it. It's not that at all. It's that things happened and they can't control them. So that, like, we're not talking about a world that's in control by the elites now, then, are we? Because big media, of course, are controlled by the elites. And if the elites are controlling the world, then why didn't they just, control the world so that big media didn't get drowned out on social media by the voices of all the people in independent companies growing up and supplying different forms of media, and people's tastes changing? Why aren't people just forced to watch the telly? How come they're allowed to watch TikToks? So really it's driven by youth. That's what it's driven by online, is the youth. How you consume media. There's two big areas. There's the youth and there's the porn industry. Like, the reason that we all can watch videos on the internet so freely and easily is because on the early internet there was a hard drive to push that concept, because people wanted to watch pornography. It's true, you can look into it. So the proprietary technology to allow this to happen was largely driven And it happened in video media as well, the sharing of videos, like physical cassettes, you know. Pornography has a big part to play in it because people want that porn. So, yeah, the sharing of different media, you know, the internet, these big media companies were completely aware of it, and they did want to put in, you know, they wanted to be part of it. Let's just say that they wanted to be part of it because they do have a footprint in all forms of media. The BBC offered the iPlayer, created the whole, not immediately overnight, you know, it's a bit of a different thing, isn't it? Big prospect, but, you know, big organisational prospect and stuff, and different markets at play, but not with the BBC. When I say different markets, I mean the BBC had to decide it was worth the investment before they created something like that, because they can't just, if you're in a commercial environment, you can take a business risk and lose the money, and you know, that's business. But if you're doing that on the BBC, people are going to say, hang on, you weren't supposed to be risking all this money. That's business. We're not in business like that. We're supposed to be making safe bets that make sure we get maximum investment for our viewers. You know, there's different arguments, isn't there? So, like, I think they did pretty well, the big media companies, in establishing themselves in this new marketplace. They're already established, but the new marketplace has lots of other, you know, things going on. I mean, we're on YouTube, aren't we? Well, you're not, Alan. You're not, Alan. But it's different. Let's say that. Being popular on Instagram, you know, being an individual that gets enough popularity that an agency might take note, and then marketing agencies and advertising, you know, or I don't know, you could say some people have got something backing them from the start, and that's how they get big. I don't know, but, you know, getting big in marketing on something like Instagram, yeah, is a very different prospect from creating content for a national audience. It's just so fucking stupid, isn't it, this conversation, in a way? Like, what is Alan talking about? Anyway, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And switching on a thing called the internet.
What do you think you're watching? Alan, in all of your broadcasts, you use mainstream media. What do you think you're watching on the internet?
Said, why should we believe the BBC when there's that bloke there hasn't got a dog in the fight, and he's telling us this?
Because the mainstream media, right, I would say don't believe the Daily Mail, because they've totally got a dog in the fight and they're paid to fight the dogs. Right, don't believe them, you know, that sort of stuff. Yeah, but the mainstream media, like, if it's just some fucking nutter with a camera rocking round, then how do you know that they're doing good journalism? Like, believe it or not, there are actually degrees in that, where you can learn all sorts of things, not just how to write on your notepad and type it up into a good story with a nice headline, but actually all about ethics and narratives versus truths, and how to report with clarity, and getting the facts right. You know, there's all sorts of stuff behind a journalism degree. Maybe I was just making it sound facile then as well, but I'm just trying to give simple examples that Alan would understand, that would make the person who acquired one and then established themselves as a professional in that industry held to a slightly higher account than some bloke with a camera, or lady with a camera, if we're not going to be sexist, Alan. So it might be that both is good, that you need the simple, I want to call it anecdotal evidence of somebody just there with a camera. You need that in the mix as much these days, as much as you need educated professional people with much better cameras and qualifications to cover stories in depth with good ethics and intent. I just think Alan's completely missing the point. So what should we do? Should we just completely bin off no more newspapers, no more website? Like, Alan, you won't be able to watch news on your streams anymore. Do you realise? Like, as much as I think the mainstream media has agendas and that we should analyse those mainstream media agendas, I mean, I studied sociology, so I'm not big to my own trumpet here, but Alan, what you want to first do is have a look at the work on media in the field of sociology, you know. Have a little look at that. Why don't you talk about some, I don't know, one of my favourites that people, I don't know, don't always like or do like or whatever, but what's his name now? What's the fella's name? Is it Media Control? Hang on, I can't search on the internet very quickly here. Shit. Media Control. come I don't know his name. Can I search on the internet on my phone? Media control. Media control. It's gonna take fucking forever on my phone. Noam Chomsky, of course, Chomsky. Like, why don't you just like do some learning, Alan? Even his name. Oops, I didn't know it. I did know it. I just forgot it. Look, Noam Chomsky. Why don't you read some Chomsky? You don't know the first thing about media that you're talking about. So what you're basically doing is you're on Rumble, which is paid for by right. Oh no, fuck. Why have we stopped? Why has my camera stopped? It looks like. Oh no, I'm back. Okay, that's fine. We'll carry on with that. And then you're on Rumble. You're being paid for by the alt-right, the right wing. To be there, to say these things, to cover your own back, and so now my brain's done what the string just did. I had a little brain fart. Yeah, you don't understand what's going on, and what you're suggesting is that we should bin off the mainstream media. They don't know what they're talking about. They're rubbish. But you use it in all of your content. You are going to use it in your broadcast on this very broadcast, and you really are in deep water here without understanding what you're talking about. So it's not looking good for you. You just look like some ignorant person having a ramble and a rant.
But the BBC are telling us stuff that we're allowed to know, but not what they're allowed to know. And I know this, and they admit it, because they get my BBC, not say my country's BBC, get directives directly from
my BBC, not I don't like them anymore because now I'm on Rumble. I no longer respect the BBC. So not my BBC, which I used to think was a British institution that I'm sort of proud of in lots of ways and really enjoy watching when it's Wimbledon, but not my BBC, the other BBC, the bad one, which are not mine, my country's BBC, not your. And why is it your country as well? What have you done to claim it for yourself other than just be fucking squatting here, sponging off the state? Alan, the whole world is all of ours. This goes for everyone, actually. I don't know why people get all het up about this. I know you get, where you come from. It's where what I'm trying to say is, where your blood comes from is where your space is. I'm not going to spend my life being a colour. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to say a bit of that. We're all in the world. The whole world's just everyone's. Like, human beings have drawn arbitrary lines about places and said, right, well, that's this place and that's that place. And you can't see on the ground here, but you can tell on a map. And also, I'm going to build a fucking big fence. So you stay over there and I'll stay over here. And then you are now Mexicans and we are now Americans. And you're like, but hang on. Before all any of this gets written down, can't we just say, look, for a minute, before we write it all down, can't we all just be people who just live in the fucking world? Now, I know it's silly, especially talking politics, to suggest that we're just human beings who live on a planet and that all of our silly constructs are kind of meaningless in the big picture. But if you pin your personality so strongly on having been born in a particular society and adopted the mannerisms thereof, then you're missing a bigger picture, in my opinion. If you enjoy Chinese food, and you also enjoy Italian food, and you also enjoy Mexican food, and you might just enjoy food. It might be that you might just enjoy food, and it might be that all that cultural nuance is lovely, and we should enjoy it. And I'm not saying all food should be the same. I'm saying enjoy all that difference, but don't get too het up on it where you might have a row, or like start claiming things as your own. I'm my country, my this and my that, and I and me and my. And yours, is it yours? I think we have to share it. It's for everyone. Our country. Our world. Alan. Our country. And this is the problem that many of these nationalists don't quite understand. Is if you start your rhetoric with my, then you're completely missing the point of how things work in the real world.
The government on what they can say and what they can't say on the news. You may not know that, but they're actually told what they're allowed to say and what's out of order. They have gagging orders and suppression and all sorts of things that they dare.
Obviously, there's a script as well, isn't there? You fucking idiot. They write the scripts for the news. They don't just come on the news and be like, right, here's the news. I'm going to fucking give it you today. I think this Russell Brand's the right one. or whatever, you know. And yeah, there's lots of legal things behind the scenes. If people don't understand that, again, like just coming on Rumble and saying, "Oh, didn't you know behind the scenes there's gagging orders, there's non-disclosure agreements, you know? Have you never heard of a non-disclosure agreement? Oh, you're gonna love this." Like, fucking hell, wakey, yeah. Like, there's a lot more than that, isn't there? Like, again, you're going to go up against the great thinkers of media theory in our time with your rambling nonsense after you've read some Daily Mail. This might be a joy. I told you this would be a joy, Alan, going on Rumble. Told you it would be a joy. I'm going to start, just as I start to really enjoy it, I'm half an hour into the video, 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to see how quick I can upload at this location. And I tell you what, it's going to be dog shit. You're going to probably end up watching this the week I get back. But at least I'm going to try. I'm going to record these things. They will exist. I can't let this just go by, can I? I have to try. We have to try.
Say, it's more than their job's worth, right? So, slowly but slowly, people woke up.
Slowly but slowly.
Right, we don't have to believe the BBC, CNN, do we? We can believe someone else.
It's not quite like that, Alan. If you don't believe this, the BBC what do you mean believe? What, in general? Like, if you can't believe what the BBC are reporting, then we've got a very serious failing in our society that needs immediately to be addressed. That's the whole point in impartial news media. They have to be factually correct, and there are watchdogs to hold them to standard. Subtext to this, what Alan doesn't understand, is that narratives, you know, there's a thing called the media newsgate. So we're going to do the news today. Okay, we're going to do the news today, and I want you to decide what goes on the news. You're the editor for today. Here's a fucking 100 stories of everything that's happened today. There's been shit going on in Palestine. There's been shit going on in Australia. There's been shit. I mean, each individual country's got fucking loads of things that they could report. They've had a tennis competition here. There's been a chess champion over there. Somebody over here's got eaten by a shark. Someone up here's climbed the biggest mountain. Like, what the fuck do you want to say today on the news? There's so much stuff. First of all, you want to know what the people want to hear, don't you? Well, not what they want to hear. You don't want to tell them what they want to hear. You need to tell them what's good for them, don't you? So now we have the beginnings of a conversation about the ethics, the decisions behind the newsgate, because the gate is simply this. Today's news, we can only fit this much in. So we can only fit, it's like going to a club. When we're full, you know, 1 in, 1 out policy. So we can only fit so much in half an hour. So first of all, really important, VIPs come through the gate first. Very, usually in the way our world works at the moment, you know, very important stories. How do you judge importance? Again, national interest. What's national interest? You need to learn these things if you're going to be a good journalist or editor, don't you? Well, you're the editor, so you need to pull your socks up. But you know what I'm saying? Suddenly it gets a bit more difficult, doesn't it? Because you can't just sit there. And it's not that difficult, because if you think that fucking guns are the most important story on the agenda, go and work for the news company that talks about guns all the time, that's either really passionately pro-gun or really passionately anti-gun. I shouldn't have brought up guns because YouTube won't like it, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a whole world of news media out there. Absolutely. And if you're one of the people that thinks news media should be independent and not pushed around by market force, so finance, or political especially, the reason in the UK we have the BBC independent like they are is because, you know, and not financially independent, you know, independent as in run for the people, public service news, is because they can hold the government to account, because they're not political. So it doesn't matter which side you're on, they're going to ask you the tough questions. Right? They're for us. So these principles are very important, and Alan doesn't understand any of it. So Alan is now talking about essentially the newsgate in a way, I guess, without a real understanding of what underpins those decisions. It's glorious.
Because it seems more logical, so we believe that. And this went on and on until eventually now, people like Russell Brand could get more viewers than the BBC.
Well, he doesn't know that, does he? Does Alan know how many viewers the BBC gets on their fucking news programmes? I mean, obviously he watches them himself on his own show. Alan doesn't have any concept of viewing figures in media. And it's different. Like, Russell Brand does one show on his Rumble every now and then. Like, the BBC are on 24 hours a day on like fucking 10 different channels. They're in like there's like 180 something countries, isn't there? And the BBC probably broadcasting like 150 of them. Not the communist China probably, but maybe there is BBC China actually. I think there probably is BBC China. Like, you know, what's he talking about? Does he understand the BBC is not just the telly that you watch? Does he not understand what's going on? Viewing figures for Russell Brand are higher than for the BBC. No, I mean the BBC used to employ Russell Brand. Just don't start with this. Russell Brand does not pull higher viewing figures than the BBC. However, what Alan is doing is he's parroting something that I said back in the Nicola Bulley case, which is that during things like the Nicola Bulley case, when things are fast moving and there's a conversation on social media, the mainstream media are slower to act and can't have that conversation because they're a media source that has to tell you fact. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that we talked about was ideas and could it's and maybes and what do you think about this, and I'm sure about that. They can't really do too much of that on the news because otherwise it gets into the realm of bias, doesn't it, in some ways? So instead they have to be what they have to be and we get to be what we can be. So I made that point during the Nicola Bulley case that I felt that the mainstream media resented it and tried to poo-poo social media a bit and say that they were the best ones and to always listen to us, which is what Alan is doing here on social media. He's poo-pooing them and saying, no, I'm the best one, always listen to me. But Alan uses mainstream media to get his information, so he's an idiot.
And people in America, top dogs, could get more viewers than CNN. And how do you think this sat with the governments? They're crapping themselves.
What?
We can't lie to media anymore.
The government's, again, a total misunderstanding of how things work. The whole point of the BBC, you can argue with me and you can say, oh yeah, but they appoint the chairman of the BBC, don't they? They appoint this guy, and then there's an agenda, and they won't argue against it. All that you can do what you like, you can say what you like. You know, I've been brought up on watching Paxman on Newsnight, and I know that the Paxman, as much as you might say this and that, like, he asked the tough questions. Come on, didn't he? Isn't that what they're there for? Like, if you, I agree that mainstream media paid for by the, you know, the paid, like, there's a difference. I think it's really weird to beat the BBC with the same stick as you beat the rest of the mainstream media with, because they are different. Oh, they're not. They're just the same. They're still paid. Okay, well, they shouldn't be the same. So once we can, if you agree that they're, if I will agree with you that they're corrupt, if you think they're corrupt, then we need to fight to cleanse that corruption because we need independent media. That's your argument, isn't it? It's just that you think the independent media should be untrained and random people running around with their iPhones. And I think that the institution of the BBC has got a lot to offer in terms of ability to produce media, if only you could cleanse some of that corruption. So like, maybe we're coming at it the same principles, but you've completely misunderstood how to deal with this. And instead, sort of arguing for a sort of pseudo-anarchy online instead of and they hate the word institutions, don't they, or institutions, but you know, instead of something that is greater than the sum of its parts. Like, look at it a different way. Imagine we give up mainstream medicine. Oh, what about Big Pharma? Listen, wait. Imagine we give up mainstream medicine, and when you break your leg, you don't go to the hospital anymore. You go to the bloke round the corner who's really good at setting legs because he's got all the plasticast stuff off the internet. It's just like, what? You're going to want to go to the mainstream hospital with all the sort of, you know, benefits that a social something that's created through society can give. Sometimes there's an analogy that a camel is a horse that was designed by committee. Yeah, a camel is a horse designed by committee, because when you get loads of people and too many cooks spoil the broth and everyone's got an opinion and then it turns out to not be quite what you wanted, and yeah, I get it. Systems need refining and improving, of course. But to just say, right, abandon it all, just fucking everyone run around doing their own thing, it just seems really naive in a way, and it's very easy to point the finger and say, oh, mainstream media are cheating us and lying to us. Yeah, because they have been for years. Yeah. And if the BBC start to do it, then we're really in trouble. We need to clean that up. You can't trust the Daily Mail. You can't trust Rumble, for example, and their political... Alan is a perfect example of this. Here is a man who had no political iron in the fire, who has turned up here because he's forced to be, because he's ostracised from the mainstream, because of his awful behaviour. Yeah, and now he's going to pretend that he's got a beef with the mainstream media and he's got a politics to sell. So he's just a shill, a fake shill. He's not a principled character. He's just talking bollocks because it suits him and benefits him. So you can't tell me that this is the place to be and listen to these people who are talking bollocks to benefit them and line their pockets. He's as bad as one of these flat earth grifters. He's a snake oil salesman. They're all snake oil salesmen. They don't have heart. Trust me, you've got no heart. I'll tear you apart. Your chocolate starfish will do a fart. Shut up.
And expect them to get us to believe the lies. Because we don't believe it.
Too general. Need to be specific.
Like in the Second World War, all Germans are terrible, we must destroy. Right?
That was government propaganda, you fucking idiot. And let's be fair, not every German was bad. No, some of the Jewish ones were quite nice, but they fucking gassed them, so we had to go over them and fucking destroy. Don't even start me on this. Whose side are you on?
So we just believed it.
So now you hate Winston Churchill?
But now, I don't think that my country could get an army now to go over to France and go into trenches and put their head up and run into machine guns.
This is quite remarkable for him to be... I mean, the tragedy of Normandy, but the honour and the pride that... pride's not a virtue, but, you know, I reflect on that so much. I'm so lucky that I got to experience those things through the prism of video games when I was younger, and it really made me think, fucking hell. Like, fucking, like, that beach was long. I got killed... I know me, playing video games, I'm talking silly, but I got killed so many times trying to get across the Normandy beach in Call of Duty, and I just thought, like, after I played it, that level, that first bit of the game, I put the controller down and I cried, because I thought, I just died like 40 times getting across there on hard mode, you know, but that represented like 4,000 or however many, you know, whatever people that died for real, and I cried about it. It meant a lot to think about it. This is using emotive, illustrative language for political gain in the most disgusting way, and I think, Alan, you are... Like, if you said this to the soldiers in our army today, you wouldn't run into gunfire. You're just cowards, you lot today. Back then, they were real men. Like, what are you saying? Our armed forces would sacrifice themselves in a second for the Queen and the country. I have utmost respect for them. That's why they put themselves in that position. Have you not seen the people coming back from Afghanistan with their legs blown off? The people that don't come back. That's exactly what they've been doing. Obviously, things are more sophisticated these days, aren't they? So we wouldn't expect people to run up a beach. But, you know, in the face of gunfire, things are different now. But I think the equivalent is in... I suppose it's all service is different, isn't it? And every situation is different. But I think this is a disgusting thing to have said, really, about the armed services of today. And I know that I disagree with Alan on everything, and I pick a point with everything. But you're saying, basically, that people today haven't got the backbone. And
be mowed down like lemmings. I honestly don't believe that my younger people in my country would even do that anymore. I'm not sure if they would in America.
I'd throw you off the fucking boat to run up there and be lemmings. A terrible thing to say about those people, those honourable men. That they weren't like lemmings.
Would you do Vietnam now? Would Vietnam be able to work with the internet we have now?
We've just been to Afghanistan and blown up half the fucking country. We've just spent our last 10 years before that blowing the fuck out of Iraq. we didn't have no weapons of mass destruction, everyone in our country hates all the fucking Arabs and immigrants and like, what are you talking about? If you wanted to go to fucking any country in Europe, any country in Arabia, any country, and foolish as it would be as well, any country, and you said to the majority of right-wing leaning conservative voters of today, what about we go and fuck them up? They'd be like, yeah. Could you do Vietnam now? Yeah, but with like double the appetite for fucking them up and burning everything down. Are you insane? Support the troops. Do you not know what goes on around the world today, Alan? Fuck me.
Or would people refuse to go? I know a lot of Americans did refuse to go. Muhammad Ali, so a lot of people refused to go.
But
so
that wasn't
changed, hasn't it?
That was on compassionate grounds based on his religious and principles. So that wasn't because he was scared.
Completely. And let's go back to that. So they have to get the power back. Now, they used to hold the power by...
Right. Alan, you're an idiot. I'm going to say this and I'm going to end this video here because I'm going to try and keep it relatively short. We've gone over 40 minutes. The reason, and Alan's right, the mainstream media and not the media necessarily, because the media are just an arm of the oligarchical organisation, or small number of people that own quite a lot of stuff that push their agenda, those sort of people, the elites, yeah. So they're an arm of the elites. They don't just, the media don't control the world because they want to say things and do things. They're being told what to say, yeah. That's the general principle, isn't it? Over on Rumble. So with that in mind. Hang on, what did he say?
And let's go back to that. So they have to get the power back.
They have to get the power back. With that in mind, those elites realise that the power to control people does not lie with the mainstream media in the same way as it used to. So instead of using that instrument to control people in the same way as they used to, which they still do, on top of it, they've decided to use the social media instead as well. You've got disenfranchised voters, right? You had a load of people on 4chan or something, yeah? Disenfranchised voters, load of people on 4chan. So we need to, this is what the oligarchical elites, looking at the situation say, we need to pay our marketing teams, our Saatchi and Saatchis and the people that we use to get on the internet and say things, we need to pay them to infect this social media so that we can have our opinions bubble up from the main, instead of top down. Now we're going to have them come up through the grassroots. We're going to teach them to people online, confuse them with conspiracy theories. These people are already on the conspiratorial edge. They're already on the fringes. They're already disenfranchised, looking for truths and not believing the mainstream. We're going to go in there and we're going to infect them with funny ideas so that they're even more confused, and then we're going to give them a sort of hero to corral towards. This is how Trumpian politics works, Alan. This is how Donald Trump got popular. Yeah, you don't think that all those people that were storming the Capitol are stupid people who believe the mainstream media, do you? But yet they're all doing something incredibly political, paid for by the right-wing agenda. All that motivation has come through the undercurrent, the social media, the internet. So it's almost like something unregulated like the internet, that's a bit like the Wild West, can be heavily abused and manipulated by people with fucking loads of money, and that people are ignorant enough to think that somebody else with a username in a chat room might not be the fucking FBI or the CIA or whoever else wants to manipulate them, and just go along with this mass media control in a different way. And they go along with it. They think they're part of it. They think the things they discover in these websites and on these places, they think are the new truths. But actually, it's just what the right wing wanted them to think anyway. And they're even worse than they were before. So Alan's there on Rumble. And irony of ironies, ta-da, that's what Rumble is. It's there to feed you the idea that you're on the edge and you're not toeing the line and you say what the mainstream won't. And what you're actually doing is saying some of the worst things that the right wing want you to think, getting into some of the worst areas. You're even more manipulatable because you don't have any grounding and don't believe facts, and you're even worse. And it really helps the right wing. It's the elites, you're the glove puppets of the elites, but you think that you're anti-elite. So you're so naive and in denial that you work on behalf of the elite masters almost autonomously now, without them having to put, like, they started putting this funny stuff up, and then you've gone, oh, I love this so much, I'm going to do loads, I'm coming up with new creative ways to do this now, and the elites are going, yeah, fucking go for it, you nutters. It's tragic, really, it's tragic, and it's what happens when people don't fully understand the media, but think that they're getting some kind of red pill, secret information behind the scenes, without fully understanding all of the moving parts and layers of it first, you know. And a lot of the things that you see what I've done today, I've explained a lot of stuff in a lot of different ways than Alan has, so a lot of the stuff that they spin can be sort of unspun, and there are some really big, interesting talky conversations to have. I'm not here, I'm opening up lines of conversation rather than shutting down what you think, but and hopefully, you'll say what you think in the comments, and people can say one thing back, and then don't argue, just think about things instead. But really, Alan hasn't done that at all. He hasn't thought about this. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's in way over his head, and it makes him look like an idiot. So that was 8 minutes of his Live and Dangerous that I've turned into fucking 50 minutes now. So I'm gonna have to upload this. Try to upload it. I'll see you when I see us. You'll see this when you see it. Be good, my little puckos, and if you can't be good, you're naughties.